There was a moment where early in the season we were kind of in a rough patch, wins, losses, and I was like, maybe I should just take this out and just let the guys know like how much I just enjoy watching and being a part of the team. And so I just kind of whipped that out and I was like, guys, like I let me just read you a couple passages from this. And I was just saying like, oh, Alonzo Rubalcaba, he had a huge double and that scored Pernito, just all these little tidbits of these days and moments and memories that you can get kind of caught up and forget about in the midst of a losing streak, especially. And it was just a reminder of like how much I appreciated being there, part of the team, and just being a part of the game of baseball in general.
Welcome back to Fear the Persh, the official podcast of Vaquero Baseball. I'm your host, Jeff Walker, head baseball coach at Santa Barbara City College. This is episode 4. Joining me today is special guest, VacPack alumnus and former assistant coach, Aidan Wirshing. Aidan now serves on staff at Davidson College and is the field manager for the Kenosha Kingfish in the prestigious Northwoods League. In this episode, we explore Aidan's transition from player to coach, discussing the experiences that have shaped his career and the mentors who have guided his path across the country. This is an awesome episode and insightful look at the commitment required to navigate the college baseball landscape and coach in this game.
Today's episode of the Fear the Persh podcast is brought to you by Lilly Fitness. Train smarter, move better, perform at your best. Lilly Fitness, located 111 Santa Barbara Street in the Funk Zone, group classes, personal training, and more. Lilly Fitness, Santa Barbara's top coach for full body strength, mental clarity, and lasting results. For more info, go to www.lilyfitness.com to book your session today. Welcome back to Fear the Persh podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Walker, head baseball coach at Santa Barbara City College. Today's guest is VacPack alum Aidan Wirshing. Aidan played at SBCC and then returned to coach for a year. He's now currently the field manager for the Kenosha Kingfish in the prestigious Northwoods League and also working at Davidson College. Welcome to Fear the Persh, Aidan.
Thanks so much for having me, Coach Walker.
Yeah, so great summer so far. Talk about that grind.
It's been great. You have Northwoods League, you play 72 games in 78 days or something like that, and you just get up every day and have a baseball game to play. So it's pretty fun, and it's been a great group of guys.
So what number summer is this in the Northwoods League for you?
It is of the last 7 years, it's my sixth in the Northwoods League.
So you've spent 6 summers in the woods.
Yep. 6 summers in the Northwoods. And the first one was a little shorter than a typical Northwoods League season, but
that was 21 during COVID?
Yeah, it was 2020.
2020. Yeah. And then you were out there with Casey, right?
Yeah. COVID hit and Casey had the job open and I went up there for the summer and it was a blast.
Yeah, I noticed when you first were up there, you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Now you got the goatee going, you got the, the long hair. You look like a grizzled Northwoods League veteran.
That's right. It's those mornings you have the option to, go to the barber shop or get a little extra sleep. Usually you choose the sleep, but it's been fun. And, it's one of those things too, where when we have a winning streak going, I usually do just kind of let the beard go a little bit. And so.
Nice. Are you tired of hot dogs or brats yet?
Well, I gotta say I love brats, so I never get enough of those. But I do try to change it up every once in a while. I'll get a hamburger instead of a brat or a hot dog. But I'd say in the post-game meals have been like really good this year. Every ballpark we've been to, so it's a good mix. They've been changing it up.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to play in that league, and then both my time at SBCC and LMU and other stops, we'd sent players, and they always seem to have a good experience regardless of the team that they're at. So it's always fun to play in front of the stands. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Switching gears. So talk to us about your journey to SBCC as both a student and student athlete, and take us from how you got there to where you're at now.
Yeah, I went to SBCC. It was kind of a late decision. It was one of those things where my sister and I have a twin sister, and we thought for a while maybe junior college would be the route. just the affordability of it. And then, I didn't really have anything baseball wise. There was like one school up in Oregon that had some very, very slight interest, and it was basically because I reached out to them. And I've always loved Santa Barbara. My family always loved going to Santa Barbara, and then I looked up Santa Barbara City College and I saw that the baseball program was doing great things and always had winning records and winning the USC North. And I just wanted to be a part of a winning program. So it just kind of seemed like the perfect fit. Beautiful place in Santa Barbara that it's only like an hour and a half from where I'm from, and it being not so far, but just the kind of perfect distance away from home where you can kind of get to know yourself as a person. And my sister and I, we went straight into living in an apartment, and that was a good experience because, there wasn't like dorm
You
food or anything
did
like
you
that.
live with your sister?
We lived in separate apartments. She lived,
Okay, okay.
yeah, she lived with like six other girls, and I lived with six other guys, and threw us all in there. And it was that in and of itself was quite the experience because a lot of international students go to Santa Barbara City College as well. And so getting to meet people from all over the world, and it was just a great experience getting kind of thrown right into the fire, going and getting groceries. And growing up, I've always had that kind of independence, and seeking independence is something I value. And that was kind of another kind of cherry on top of the experience of getting to be a little bit far from home, but also, or not too far from home, but also having this experience of just meeting people from all over the world. And yeah, I remember vividly the first time I visited Santa Barbara City College was 2014 or 15 maybe. And yeah, it was 2014. I walk up and there's some guys hitting in the cage, and I just went up to the cage and started talking to them about the baseball program and how much they loved it. And I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Ben Barth was the first person I ever
Oh,
interacted with.
Barth. No
So
fly zone. No fly zone. Ben
no
Barth.
fly
Shout out
zone.
to Ben Barth.
Yeah. But that was how I kind of got there. Just it seemed like the perfect fit.
And then you spent 3 seasons, but 2 academic years at SBCC. Do have some favorite Aidan stories when you were a player, but you redshirted your first year and then you got into UCSB. So you were a dual enroll student that last year. So I mean, what was that like? You're taking a full load at UCSB and then also taking a full load in the spring semester to play for us. So I couldn't get enough Santa Barbara, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say wanted all the schools. I guess I couldn't squeeze Westmont in there, but no, it was a good experience. Like you said, having that full load. I think it was something crazy like 20 some odd credits all combined. But I enjoyed even those classes I was taking my third year at SBCC because they were not too challenging. They were fun. It was like an art history class and just kind of needed to do what I needed to do there. And I think I took a film class as well. So that was just a good experience. And obviously finishing the degree at UC Santa Barbara. And baseball teaches you how to manage your time, and that was definitely a good test. And I've known some other players. If I'm not mistaken, I think Will Matuzak may have done something like that. But
Yeah, he's dual enrolled. We've had few. Usually it's one or two a year that do that. Some may have started at UCSB as a student athlete and wasn't the right fit or seeking more playing time. And then some, like Jake Villar got into UCSB, found out it was an option to play for us. And so he dual enrolled all the way through and ended up graduating from UCSB in 3 years.
yeah.
And then ended up being a junior college grad transfer, which is kind of a weird thing, but pretty cool on his end.
Yeah.
Now, I do gotta ask, is it true the only B you got in college was in my class?
Yes, it was.
I maybe I lightened the load a little bit in my sports management class. So sorry, Aiden. So
That's all
uh,
right. It was good. It was a good life lesson.
affecting Aiden's GPA. So some of my favorite stories were, you didn't get a lot of playing time at SBC. I think which is showing in your coaching and how fast you've elevated through the coaching ranks and the success that you've had, these past summers and especially this one so far. But you did everything, ultimate team guy, whatever we need to do. And when you did get some playing time of how excited our team got when you were up at running the bases. I remember a game against West LA where you got a hit and everybody went crazy and then somebody else got a hit and it was kind of a sideways game and Coach Harms sent you like you wouldn't normally send a guy up in a sideways game and everybody was just going crazy because you rounded the bases, I think, from first to third, scored from first, and slid into home plate. And the other coach, Coach Sua, actually texted me after. I still got the text someplace where he was like, he goes, "That's ultimate, like, team culture, everybody pulling for that guy." And he goes, that was awesome to see. So that was certainly cool. And then I don't know this exact story. Maybe you can walk us through. So in 2019, your final year, I started not doing the long, drawn out post game talks. If we win, stole an idea from actually Louisville's coach, I heard on a podcast, ironically, is we just did a player of the game, and the player of the game gets a hat, and then he has to pass the hat to somebody that helped them achieve that success they did on the field. And it's been a really cool team building thing. And, guys have, shared things that we wouldn't normally know as coaches, maybe in some of the players as well, of some of those things that have happened. But it was Connor Roberts was the player of the game. Superstar dealt that game. It was against Chafee, and he gave the hat to Aidan, and he shared with us that he was thinking of quitting. He originally started at UCSB, redshirted, didn't play a whole lot, was thinking, coming over, was thinking of quitting. And thankfully for us and his career going back to UCSB, which he pitched phenomenally there as well, he said that he saw you and you had a notebook or a journal, and he said that inspired him to keep playing. So what was that story about?
Yeah,
Tell me about the book of secrets that you had.
yeah, the Black Book of Secrets. So I try my best to, even today, it's just a habit, just to just write down a little bit in a journal. And I've now developed a thing where I have separate journals for separate topics of the life. But yeah, especially SBCC, I just kept everything in this kind of one journal, and I'd always write down everything like from our games and practices. And I like, Daniel Barado pitched extremely well, or little kind of tidbits. And there was a moment where earlier in the season we were kind of in a rough patch, wins, losses, and I was like, maybe I should just take this out and just let the guys know like how much I just enjoy watching and being a part of the team. And so I just kind of whipped that out, and I was like, guys, like I let me just read you a couple passages from this. And I was just saying like, oh, Alonzo Rubalcaba, he had a huge double, and that scored Pernito. Just all these little tidbits of these days and moments and memories that you can get kind of caught up and forget about in the midst of a losing streak, especially. And it was just a reminder of like how much I appreciated being there, part of the team, and just being a part of the game of baseball in general. So I think Roberts kind of resonated with that, and we talked about just the love of the game and appreciating it every moment. And yeah, when he gave me that hat, and in that particular case, we had a baseball, so he got the baseball, and he gave me the baseball for the
The hats
game.
hadn't come in yet, so I hadn't
Yeah,
started doing the
yeah,
hats yet, or maybe I was out
yeah.
of hats.
Yeah, I think it was like we were just starting the hats, but in that particular case we had the baseball, and so I got the baseball from him, and that was so meaningful. And because ultimately he was the guy on the mound where strikes the guy out on the slider looking to win us the championship that year at Moore Park. So that was really cool. And
Do you still
yeah,
have the ball, or did you trade it in for a hat?
well, that's a funny story too. So one day you come in to the dugout, and you're going through everyone's bags looking for balls. And I'm out there stretching, and I know I'm like, I need to run in there and protect the ball. And so I full on sprint while we're stretching, and you're right in my bag, and then you're like just about to grab. I'm like, can I keep that one? You're like, oh, you want this one? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna keep that one. He's like, okay. And so you just left it. And I'm like, that was the ball Connor Roberts gave me. So, yeah, and I still have it. So it's one of those things where I was like, thank goodness I saw that you're going through
That's
looking for
awesome.
baseballs. But it's
Did you do you still like have those journals and keep them and go through them? Like it sounds like that's kind of something you keep doing, journaling.
yeah, yeah. I would say that a lot of the journals from SBCC are back in California. I just kind of keep them in this little drawer of journals. And so now the last couple of years, the ones are in California, and I got my Kingfish one right over there. So just kind of a good mix. And my songwriting one is right there. So in case the guitar comes whipped out, get the journal handy. You always have to be ready to write an idea down. So yeah, they're kind of all over the country, I guess, right now, the journals, but some in Carolina, some up here in Wisconsin for the time being.
Yeah, you are, to my knowledge, at least the only former player that I've had that is a recording artist. So that's kind of a unique niche. So, I mean, when did that start? I mean, when's the next album hit? Like, what do we got on that?
Yeah, it started, I've always, my whole life loved singing and songwriting and, well, I suppose writing, and then the love of poetry and the love of singing kind of just worked harmoniously together. And when I started learning how to play the guitar at actually Santa Barbara City College and just wanted to continue it, and I played the cello growing up, but the guitar is something you can sing with. And so, yeah, I've really enjoyed just kind of figuring things out on guitar, and fell in love with John Prine, who's an old singer from the 70s, and I just loved his songwriting style. So, yeah, 2020, COVID hits, and I was like, that's it. I'm gonna just release songs on Spotify and might as well just buy a microphone. I got a microphone for my birthday in 2019 from my stepbrother, and I was like, let's put it to use. And so 2020 was the year of starting of the coaching journey and of the song recording journey. So it was a very
Hey,
memorable.
they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, they go right hand in hand, coaching,
Yeah, it's
songwriting,
just
and
you haven't
it
wrote a
has
song
been.
about me yet, have you?
I'm not. I need to write a Jeff Walker / Santa Barbara City College back song.
That would be a disaster. So the coaching journey starts. You're at UCSB and you're helping out with their baseball program. What were some of the things that you kind of took away from that kind of pushed you forward in your journey here?
Yeah, brief though my experience was at UCSB. It was very memorable. It was great. I was a student manager there from September until COVID hit in March, and just to see the ins and outs of a very successful program up there, coming from a very successful program just a few miles away, and it was fun too because Connor Roberts was there, and Ben March, so we had a little bit of continuity on that team, and
Yeah.
working with Kevin Cannon, like he taught me all sorts of stuff on the field and just how to take care of that, and how much time and effort he put in to that field. And yeah, you got to really see how things operated and help out in any aspect you could. And I thought it was just such a fun experience because it was kind of like you're the liaison between being a coach and being a player, and you're in the clubhouse with the players. You got your locker.
Learning to do all those things other than just on the field coaching, which is so important as a person in this profession, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to understand all the little details that go into it, and just watching how the coaches work. And that's the beautiful thing is I've had the opportunity to just watch other coaches work. And just as when I was playing, I got the opportunity to watch great players play, and you can learn a lot from those players, a lot from those coaches. So, like I said, it was very brief, and UCSB, it was fun. We were 13-3, and we ended with a huge win over number one UCLA and Pat Caulfield,
Yeah.
and then a three-game sweep at Oregon State. And I think they were ranked number 25 at the time. So we were riding high, and then we get back from that trip and COVID hit, and that was kind of an abrupt ending, but it was a fun
It
experience.
did start your musical career though.
Yeah, it did.
So
No, I mean, if COVID didn't hit too, I wouldn't have been able to go to the Northwoods just because UCSB quarter system, most likely regional. So it's just one of those things where serendipitously made the most of it for sure.
yeah, so Coach Harms, who was in our program and he's now coaching the Pirates organization, takes you to the Northwoods League for Waterloo. And then the next year, he brings you back to our staff. Today's episode of the Fear of the Purse podcast is brought to you by Lily Fitness. Train smarter, move better, perform at your best. Lily Fitness, located 111 Santa Barbara Street in the Funk Zone, group classes, personal training, and more. Lily Fitness, Santa Barbara's top coach for full body strength, mental clarity, and lasting results. For more info, go to www.lilyfitness.com to book your session today. So that season 2021 spring, didn't have a season, had a bunch of guys from COVID leftovers. We practiced, we inter squatted a lot. I was talking to Matt Bergevin about that. Do you have and I always table it the greatest team that never was. Do you have a favorite story or something comes to mind from that season or that experience?
I mean, there's a lot that went into that experience for sure. Like you said, we scrimmaged all the time. We practiced so much. And I mean, as a coach, I guess selfishly it was great because we just got to learn how to practice a lot. But and we played the two games against Westmont, and forgetting the name of the other team we played.
Hope.
Hope, yeah, yeah, and we won both those games. I think 15-4 or something like that.
Yeah,
Well,
it was crazy.
it
And
was
those are both really, really good teams and good programs. So it shows you the talent that we had on that team. And then I was trying to remember, did you get because Coach Harms was interviewing with the Pirates when we went down and played Hope. Did you coach third or did you coach first that game?
At Hope, I coached first, and I think Tyler coached third.
Yeah.
Caserta.
He, he probably made you go coach third at some point.
Yeah, I think I kind of remember vaguely like switching around for maybe an inning or something as well. But that
And
was
then
that
you
was a fun experience.
then you went back to the woods, back to Waterloo with Coach Harms, right? Or was it Gainer then? I don't
Yeah, I was gonna
remember.
say Casey was slated to go back, but then in May he got the job officially with the Pirates, and so Gaynor took over as the manager for that season.
Yeah, another backpack coaching alum who's, I believe, in the Marlins organization right now. And you took, I gifted you a pickleball paddle to take with you. So you still have that paddle or did you upgrade?
No, I still have that paddle. I still use that paddle.
There's a lot of wins in that paddle. A lot
Yeah.
of wins.
Oh yeah.
And then after that summer, you went to Gardner-Webb.
Yep.
And how many years you were a grad assistant?
Yeah, I was a grad assistant for 2 years at Gardner-Webb.
And then, what was kind of some of those duties or takeaways from the experience at Gardner-Webb?
That was a great experience. I kind of mentioned earlier, just like I like independence, travel, kind of new experiences, and I'd never been to North Carolina in my life and didn't really know anything or what I was getting into necessarily, but went out there and it was a great experience just to learn, like I said, from other coaches, other philosophies, and different brand of baseball than West Coast baseball, certainly. And it was fun too, because a little bit of kind of like at UCSB, a little bit of doing everything, seeing the ins and outs. We had a lot of kind of fundraising events, so a little bit working on that side as well, and kind of helping run those events in a sense with our head coach and the other members of the coaching staff. So a lot just seeing how that worked from I mean, to put it bluntly, like a money perspective and how to fundraise. And I think that was valuable. And obviously the experience on the field. My first games were that opening weekend was crazy because we hosted a tournament at our place, and we had Virginia, Bellarmine, and New Jersey Institute of Technology all there. And I'm running the Synergy cameras, and it's my first experience. Well, I should say second, because at SBCC we had the Synergy cameras up for like one or two times, and I was
Did I
watching.
make you do those too?
Well, it's funny because we didn't really have to do it because we didn't have games, but you showed me like, well, this is how we do it. You usually just kind of put the camera up here, so that way when we have games or if we have games, you kind of know how to do it. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. So that was the extent of my Synergy experience was one day, just showing how to set it up and then thrown right into the fire of having four teams playing. We had three games in one day one time because rain. So yeah, and I was tagging stuff and pitch chart. It was kind of a crazy opening weekend, but that was definitely a fun one. And after that, it was kind of smooth sailing after that. It was like you can handle 7 or 8 games in a weekend. You can do kind of anything. But yeah, there was a lot of upgrades for the facilities, and we got Yakkertech technology while I was there, and I got my first bit of technology experience also at Santa Barbara City College with our Rapsodo. So and we had
Yeah, you
Rapsodo.
crushed the Rapsodo. So
Yeah, it was,
we we sold that thing for parts and got a TrackMan portable now. So
yeah.
we got the stadium TrackMan, we got the portable TrackMan as well. Shout out to Synergy too, because we were actually the first junior college to be on Synergy. They didn't have a platform for it, and our women's basketball coach Sandrine, they women's basketball, or they used Synergy and they had it for NC2 Division One. So we were kind of the first, demo in 2019. And then they was like, wow, all these guys that are Division One clients, which is pretty much everybody on Synergy, they can now see in all of our players. So that's always the thing. Do you have any video of Aidan or Jeff Walker? And it's like, yeah, we're on Synergy. And so they just pull up that. And actually had a conversation a couple of weeks back with an ACC coach, and he was calling about a player. And I said, yeah, the kid's good. And he was literally pulled down in the Synergy and was talking to me on the phone while he was watching the kid's video. So that was pretty cool. And then you took your brief sabbatical from the Northwoods League and coached the summer in the Cape with one of my former coaches, Kelly Nicholson. So you had reached out to him. There was an opening, and he called me, and I guess you guys met for lunch, and he called me, and I remember telling him that you're the most positive person outside of him that I've ever met. So that was a funny one. And then the other, yeah, he really liked you. And then the other one too, did I ever tell you what his concern about you was?
I think I do recall.
He said it. He goes, I don't know. He might be a little too young for the Cape.
Yeah.
And my response was, yeah, compared to the rest of you guys, because you guys like fought in the American Revolution. And he was, yeah, you're right. So I don't know if it's still like that, but at the time, it's a lot of older, experienced folks coaching out there. But you had that experience. So the takeaways from that summer.
But yeah, that Cape experience on the Cape was so fun. And Northwoods, you're playing every day, but in the Cape there are scheduled off days, and all the teams are so close. They play.
Yeah.
Some teams are 10 minutes away. The furthest trip we had was an hour and 15 minutes to Wareham. But besides that, everything is just so close. And I just really appreciated all the other coaches I got to interact with and the players, obviously immense talent, great people. Kelly, as you said, very positive guy. And it was just fun to walk into the clubhouse every day. And then he would say every day, he'd turn around his chair and he'd just go, "Hello, Aidan Wirshing. How are you?" And just like that every day. And he would say my full name. And I loved it every time. Like, "Kelly, doing well. How about yourself?" And we just talk a little bit. And he'd always print out the lineup because he would type it up and just kind of and hang it on the dugout. And I just liked how he'd always post it online too. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And we had a mental skills coach there too. He's still out there, Jay Banfield. Unbelievable, just work ethic, great guy, loves being around the game of baseball. He's incredibly successful in other aspects of his life. And baseball is just this kind of passion and hobby and helping players. And I mean, he's still up there and he loves it. And we chat quite a bit. And the other coaches that were there too. Phil Sebahar is now a Washington Nationals coach, or I should say, he's a coordinator rather. He's a coordinator in the national system, and then Kyle, he's at UCSB. So it's just kind of fun to see where everyone has gone and all the different connections from that summer. And I mean, memorable, funny stories is I get up there and I realize that we don't have any things for the field because I was doing the fields and working on there. And I had plenty of experience with Waterloo and felt pretty confident. But I go up there and our storage compartment is just empty. There's no turfus, there's clay, there's just nothing. And so I get with our GM and she's like, "Oh, well, you might have to call this number." And I call this number and they say, "We're all out except for one location." And it's in Auburn, Massachusetts, about 3 hours from the Cape. And I was like, "Well, we need the surface." So I got in my Honda Pilot and I drove up to Auburn and I show up there and the guy says, "We just transferred that to Sandwich." And I'm like, "Sandwich?" I was like, "Oh, I gotta go back to Sandwich." And that's thankfully a little bit closer to the Cape. But I go up to Auburn and I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna make the most of it." And my stepsister lives in Boston, so it's about an hour south of Auburn. So I spent the night at her place, just kind of spontaneously. And then I get a call. Thank goodness I stayed the night because they said, "Hey, we actually do have the shipment here." So I went back up to Auburn and I got all of the turfus, the clay, everything we needed for the summer. And it was quite hilarious. And my car is just kind of sagging with just almost like sparks are flying as we're getting down the highway because I shoved so much of that in. And then about 2 weeks later, we had a full pallet full of stuff. So we were really good. But in order to survive those first couple games, that was necessary. And then we had three times where just the water didn't turn on. So we had to play on a very sandy field. And it was funny because Kelly comes out before one of the games. And I'm like, "Oh man, the water just stopped." Like I watered it 2, 3 times before the game. And, you want to water it right before the game. And he's like, "Let me see." And he picks up the hose and he's looking at it. He's like, 3 years, I would have probably been a little, freaked out if 3, 5 years ago. But you know what? We can play. We can play on it. It's okay. We're good. And I was like, "All right, here we go." And second base kept flying out. And it was just kind of a crazy, chaotic field that summer. But we got it in tip-top shape. And at one point, all the cart to drag the field was broken. So I was literally dragging the drag by hand. So like that with the field experience was just incredible. But yeah, the Cape is beautiful and the people are so supportive in the community. The Firebirds, I'm obviously biased, but I just love
Go
Eldridge
go
Park.
birds.
Go Birds, ack ack. And so yeah, I really, really enjoyed that experience.
And then you got your first head job, or I guess specifically field manager. And so you're back to the woods for the Mud Puppies. And what was it like being the guy writing the lineup out for the first time?
It was a fun experience. It's the all travel team. They're just kind of thrown together. And I remember when I talk with Voz, he's like, all right, good luck. If you need any help with roster or anything, just let me know. I'm like, all right. He's like, so far we got these guys on the list. And it was just one guy. I called him up and he's like, oh, I tore my UCL. I'm not coming. Okay. All right. We are bare bones from the start.
Roster
I was
management right from the start. Roster management right from the start.
right from the start. And so, yeah, I was hired in January and you had to put the team together we started June 2nd, I think was our first game. And in Eau Claire against Varsho, who's been doing it for a while up there for the Eau Claire Express. And I remember I was like, I thought I had everything dialed in. We got the guys there. We training at the MASH facility for 2 days. We got the bats. Everyone's got a jersey. And I was a little bit nervous. I was like, man, I was the only coach there too. The other two coaches, one was competing for a Division 2 in a Division 2 regional, so he was going to be late. And the other coach was still making his way from UCSB, Michael Marsh. And so I was literally the only coach, and I'm throwing BP in the
Good
little
thing you
cage.
had all those experiences of doing everything, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that I was calling upon all of the experience and then I remember I wrote the lineup because you write the little lineup, you have the home plate exchange but then I'd completely forgotten to write the big lineup card and so for the dugout and our players like, so coach, where am I playing? Oh, it's on the lineup. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't write that. So it's like it's almost the top of the first inning. We just finished the anthem. I'm like just writing as fast as I can so guys know like this is where you're batting, what's going on. Didn't even have the other team written on the other side of it and a little sped up. I was a little sped up, but then the second I got to third base and I was like in the third base coach's box, I was like, oh, we get to play a baseball game. This is so much fun. And it was just such a wonderful experience. And Dale, like I said, he was really great. He shows up with his flip-flops and I'm there already in full uniform just to save a little bit of time off the bus. And he's like, "Oh, is this your first game?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, we've been at it a week or so now, but have fun." I'm like, "Thanks." And I think that game ended up being his 500th career win or something, which was kind of funny. And it was just a whirlwind of a first day, but it was definitely memorable. And it was a good game too. I think we lost like 5-8 or
Do
something.
you remember your first bad send of that summer of coaching the third base box where you got a guy thrown out by 30 feet?
Well, it's funny because I only coached for that summer. I only coached third base for the first 3 or 4 games, and there weren't any crazy close plays or anything like that. And then because Michael was more position guy and our other coach was more position oriented, I was like, well, I've been working with the pitchers, especially on the technology side, and probably good to have the field manager in there and coordinating the pitching stuff. So the rest of the summer, the next 40 games, I stayed in there, but. I do remember the first really bad send was actually in Kenosha the next year, where I send a guy. It was like, what are you doing? This is not the situation. I'm trying to remember. He was not a very fast runner. I can't remember exactly who it was. It'll come to me in a second, but he was at second base and it was a ball to center field. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's score first. Like, why not? Here we go. And he hasn't even touched third base, and the center fielder's got the ball in his hand. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's put the pressure on it. And he's thrown out by like 20, 30 feet. And it was just not a good send at all. And
Uh,
yeah, that's not good.
That brings back my summer ball coaching memories. And I was coaching in Alaska. And at that time, I was coaching third. I'd come from high school and then I hadn't coached third in a few years. And I was coaching third and like the first 10 games or so we're playing against, JC players or, D3 players, and I was just sending everybody and everybody was safe because our guys were just better athletes and it was faster. And I remember like it was our very first Alaskan League game against another Alaskan League team that's full of Division 1 guys. And I did the exact same thing you're talking about is like I sent a guy from second base with no outs in like the
Yeah.
second or third inning. And the guy from left field, probably from like Mississippi State, just throws an absolute rocket into home plate and the guy's like out and I'm like, this is way faster than the 10 games against the Oceanside Waves or whoever was barnstorming up there at the time. So
Yeah.
and I kind of looked over the dugout and our head coach, who was actually my junior college coach, Mike Garcia, like I looked over and he was not happy about that send. So there's a lot more hold up at third base and then you start overthinking things like that. Yeah, you're in summer 3 with the Fighting Fish, but you work at Davidson during the school year. So another move for Wirshing in his past. So what's your role at Davidson and what's been that experience like?
Yeah, I'm the director of player development at Davidson, and 3 years there. It'll be my fourth fall coming up, and it's been a wonderful experience. It was a kind of a perfect transition from Gardner-Webb, where I was the graduate assistant, and the title was Director of Player Development, and just working a lot with the technology side of things. And in my time at Davidson, just as with Gardner-Webb, we've had a lot of upgrades, and we also have the TrackMan portable and stadium unit, and trying to and we got Aware, which is a great camera system. So that's been some fun developments in the last couple of years, and it's been really fun to work a lot. Kind of how I think about it too is like in the falls and springs, like I'm working a lot with the pitchers. I hit ground
Uh-huh.
balls and throw BP, things like that with the position players, but every bullpen I'm there and just kind of charting or watching the movement and listening to our pitching coach and how he's talking to guys. And that's been a really fun experience. And Joe Sheridan, our pitching coach, who's been there for the last 3 years as well, has done a great job, and it's been a really fun experience. And Davidson, we play in the A10, so it's kind of like the Northwoods too, where you travel a lot. The A10's all spread out, and a lot of bus rides up to Dayton, which are interesting. Then we've got some flights to St. Louis and Fordham and Philly. So it's been just a good kind of understanding of different baseball towns. I remember when I was in Fordham and we played against Tyler Caserta, and it was fun
Yeah.
too to see him. And I got to kind of check off a little box like, ooh, first baseball game in the state of New York, and it's against Tyler Caserta, because that's how baseball works. Like somebody
Yeah. And
in the other
you coached with
dugout.
him at SBCC. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
exactly. And so that was just a nice little check mark for sure. But yeah, and Coach Taylor's been awesome. We've had a couple staff changes. It looks like this year we're gonna have some continuity, which is nice. It'll be good for the guys too. We had a lot of young freshmen and threw like 5 freshmen in the lineup last year, and a lot of them had pretty good success. So the hope is as sophomores, they'll be able to kind of produce even more, and pitching should be better. So I think it's been a really cool experience. And, God willing, if I'm supposed to be here for this year, it'll be the first time where I've been in the same place for 4 years to see a whole class of freshmen coming in and then they leave as seniors. And that's very rewarding for sure.
That's pretty cool. Well, Aiden, for somebody that decided to make the big trek from Malibu up to Santa Barbara because it was sort of close but not far, baseball seems like it's taken you quite different spots around the country. So that's certainly pretty cool. Any advice or thoughts for, guys getting into college baseball or maybe coming to our school? And then also, like, if they do want to get into this profession, like what kind of triggered you to maybe want to coach? You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think having an adventurous spirit or an idea that if you want to play baseball in college, that it is a possibility and that it's about finding the right fit and in every aspect, socially, academically, obviously athletically, and college landscape, maybe with the 5-and-5 now is changing a little bit, but I think that it opens opportunities as much as maybe it changes opportunities for certain guys. And I've always had that kind of passionate experience of just loving the game of baseball and letting it kind of take me wherever it's supposed to. And I think that if you're open to opportunity, the right opportunity is gonna come your way. So I think that's like the biggest advice. And I think the next thing too, it's kind of easy with transfer portal and talking to guys even in the summer, like, should I go? Should I do this? And we've had guys jumping around schools, and like the main thing I say is like a great quote by Confucius is like, wherever you go, go with all your heart. So if you're going somewhere, like really enjoy the experience and give to the people around you. And ultimately, that's what the coaching experience should be anyway, is just giving and giving to the players, giving to the community. And I think being a team player definitely helps in any aspect of your life. So I think to be able to every day go on a baseball field and try to teach life lessons, but also learn from players and learn from the people around you, that ultimately that's how you get 1% better every day. And that's how you want to be. You want to try to get a little bit better in every aspect of your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the guys I've had, and mentioned a bunch of them, that former players that are in coaching ranks or coaches that have moved on. And I think that, all those things that you hit on of like those experiences of being on a team and serving others, I think does kind of resonate with guys that do go through our program and our school. Our players, when they do transfer on, I always say it's about finding the right fit, not just, committing to a place just for the sake of committing or the cool Instagram post.
Yeah.
And we don't have a track record of our former players being portal hoppers, which I'm kind of excited about. So, those guys I think see the value of being on a team and committing to a program, and I think that's kind of cool on that end. In closing, you got anything that you want to, any shout outs or anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I love my time as a vaquero. Santa Barbara City College is the right choice. It's just such a wonderful environment, and it's getting better every single year. Coach Walker, I'm so grateful for the opportunity you gave me and so many others, and it's just something that I always love following along and cheering for the success of the program. And I think, like you said, especially in today's day and age, it's about finding the right fit and going full in and committing and understanding that if you're truly committing to your development, like Santa Barbara City College is a great place to go. And like you've said before, you know everyone. Like everyone's reaching out and wondering who's the right player for their program, and they look to the programs that have success. And it's just such a rewarding thing to be able to coach some guys who I never got to coach at Santa Barbara City College and continue some traditions. And being up here in Kenosha, we got two guys with us, and we had DJ in my first year, and he was fantastic. And in baseball, I got to see DJ again at Wake Forest when we played in that tournament. So it's just it's about building these lifelong relationships and having kind of this continuity of a place that you can call home and a place that you still care for so deeply. And I think about the Persh all the time and the Tree of Life and all these little things. And when we hit a double here in Kenosha, we do it's a gator chomp, but we call it the big fish chomp because we're like the big fish on second base, and we're getting ready to eat and score some runs. So
That's
yeah, just
awesome.
just continuing things that have value and keeping those relationships alive is the most important part.
I love the backpack pics that you guys send when you run into guys that either have coached or played for us that are now coaching or playing on other teams. And I got, or some of our guys are playing in various summer leagues and they do the same thing, like with their former teammates or their current teammates. It's pretty cool. So, well, Aidan, this has been awesome. So thanks for coming on. Aidan Wirshing, field manager for the Kenosha Kingfish. So good luck the rest of the way. How many more regular season games you got left?
We have 19 regular season games left.
God bless you. So good luck, make a good run, get a ring, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. This is fun.
This concludes another episode of the Fear the Persh podcast, the official podcast of SBCC Vaquero Baseball. Keeping you updated in all things Vaquero Baseball. I'm your host, Jeff Walker, head baseball coach. #backpack, #Fear the Persh. Until next time, see you in the big leagues.